Here is the question of the day, guys. Can you hear Bridgett?
Right now, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, and on stream. You're good on stream too. We're golden.
Holy
We're
cow.
live.
We did it.
We did it. Big apologies if Streamlab decides to go like, I don't want to play anymore and leave. Love you guys again. So sorry. All right. Everyone can be heard. We're actually good to go.
We are golden.
And somebody has confirmed that with the actual fucking Twitch. Green light.
But well,
Actual fucking Twitch, can you hear us?
The chat is empty right now, but I just turned the volume up on the chat and we're golden. I can hear everybody.
I want, because we had viewers, and I'm showing an empty chat too.
I see 7.
The chat is not empty. Whew, Jesus.
Not
All
empty.
right. Thank you, Mike Diamond, coming through. We're going to get this bad boy
Michael
started.
Diamond.
It's a whole ass Michael Diamond.
Woo! Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Symphony. It's not a Symphony stream unless something breaks. But for the record, Streamlab was like, we don't care about the Meadows and shut down on me. This isn't my fault. I guarantee you somehow it's probably my fault. Symphony Entertainment, Gaming, and Arts is my gaming company that focuses on horror systems, indie games, organic content, and player agency in an attempt to bring a symphonic approach to horror role-playing. I am your host, Bridgett Jeffries, and tonight I will also be serving as your game master. We are playing part 2 and the finale of The Meadows. This is a scenario written by me for Cult Divinity Lost, published by Helmgast. You can find Cult Divinity Lost online at modifius.net. Helmgast and Drive-Thru RPG. I highly recommend you check out cultdivinitylost.com for free resources, many of which that we're actually using on tonight's stream. I would like to give a special shout out to Leslie the player and Mr. Cultist on Discord, who both took the time to provide me some rules clarification feedback in between sessions. Big thank you sincerely to both of you guys, Mr. Cultist and Leslie, because I appreciate the coaching and the support. This system is so delicious with the way it rolls out like the narrative reactions to failed rolls that I really would like to have it down as well as I can. So sincerely, Leslie, Mr. Cultist, thank you. Before we get into the game, there's only one announcement. Symphony Entertainment does have a Patreon. So if you like this content and you would like to help us make more of it, please consider backing us on patreon.com/Symphony Entertainment. Tiers are fleshed out with everything from behind the scenes content, postcards, a lot of free product coming down the pipeline, and backers can use certain backer perks to contribute scenes, as we've seen with many of our previous streams and some of the really horrifying things that Mike Diamond dropped on episode 1 of The Meadows, gifts and locations. So the other thing backers get to do is help choose our future content. We did post a poll on the next Cult Divinity Lost scenario, and the backers chose the Lorraine Estate. So Symphony will be streaming that one probably somewhere late February, early March, once we do casting calls and get all of that fun stuff sorted out. So without further ado, let's unveil this cast. Starting with Bucho, please introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, where people can find you, the things that you do, and just for now, the name and the archetype of your PC.
Hey everybody, I'm Bucho. I am the Symphony Entertainment Twitch Goblin at this point, double checking audio and causing problems. You can find me and my art and my literature updates on Instagram at TheRealPinkManther. Tonight I am reprising my role as Arjun the Doll.
Amazing. Kicking it over to Doc.
How's it going? I'm Doc. Much like Buko, I'm also found gremlining around the Discord channels, usually with some variation of Doc and an alpaca is my name on there. And I'm usually found on Instagram, Discord, etc. Or if you're wandering through Pennsylvania and happen across campus, I'll probably be teaching chemistry there. And I am reprising my role of Aton the Avenger.
Amazing. And last but totally not least, hit us, babe.
I'm Leslie, or as you might know me around the interwebs, XP Lovecat. I have a YouTube channel where I talk about role-playing games and all that fun stuff. And then I also supply developmental and line editing for fiction authors and tabletop game designers. Tonight, I will be playing Si Wu, and she is a careerist.
Oh my God, that you are. You have all of us like sufficiently terrified. Content warnings have been discussed with the cast and crew. We have reviewed our red lines and we plan to honor the Cult Divinity Lost horror contract. which covers things such as forbidden subjects, stop phrases and signs, scary things. The X card is in play. X's can be sent via private message or shown to me visually here on Zoom. No questions asked, no judgment passed. We will also be utilizing the green, yellow, red flag method, which was either dropped or called for a couple times last session, which I personally love. Safe environments make for better stories. And especially when we're dealing with content like this, we as a table can go deeper. We can go further knowing that mutual respect has been established between us. If you're one of those people that has an issue with content warnings, go talk to Jesus and not me, because I will tell you about all of your feelings. To the viewer, discretion is advised. Cult Divinity Lost is a game for adults. It touches on subject matter that most horror systems just simply won't do. It thrives in the bowels of personal horror. You need to be aware of the following content warnings: parental death, body horror, violence, child slavery, sex and sexual situations, and the big one, harm to children. Note, for the most part, children will not be actively harmed during this game, but I will be depicting children, especially the PCs, in very real and very upsetting situations. This includes child trafficking, veiled sexual assault. This is a gritty, uncomfortable, and grisly game. If this isn't your bag, that is completely okay. I promise. We'll have more content in the horror realm for you. But if this is your bag, welcome to Cult Divinity Lost. And I'm going to kick it over to Bucho.
What is Elysium? Elysium is our known world. It is everything we see around us, read about, and experience day to day. It is the patchwork of nations, companies, religions, and ideologies which form human society.
We have long since abandoned the wilderness and now reside in sprawling cities. Those who remain in the countryside observe strangers with a watchful gaze. In the urban landscapes, everyone is anonymous. In mosques, churches, and temples, dreams of the divine are kept alive, yet in many places, the sacred has been abandoned.
Football teams and YouTube celebrities are mankind's new gods. Politicians, despots, and strict regimes frame our daily lives. Where law and order have lost their grip, our existence degenerates into brush wars and racial conflicts.
Nations are fragmented, families are torn asunder, and the survivors are eternally changed. Suicide bombers, terrorists, and freedom fighters encounter military drones and corporate mercenaries.
Ideological convictions are shaped by distant control rooms and impartial data algorithms. And on all sides and within our midst, our jailers and the servants watch on with cruel interest.
What is the illusion? The illusion permeates everything. It is the air we breathe, the houses we live in, the food we eat, the music we listen to, the literature we read, and the movies we watch. It is tightly interwoven with our DNA and through our thought patterns.
It shackles our bodies and souls. Like a rag soaked with ether over our collective nose and mouth, the illusion drags us down into the deepest sleep where we lose the grip on our divinity. It fetters us to the passage of time, reweaving the world into an enormous labyrinth from which we cannot escape.
This does not mean that everything we perceive is false. The phone you are holding is a physical object. The food you eat is real. If you step across the threshold to Metropolis, the gun you brought remains there in your hand. If we leave Elysium, we might experience the other worlds and see its inhabitants for what they really are.
But this does not mean we also regain our divinity.
The illusion's shackles are intimately tied to our souls and our desires.
Welcome back to the Meadows. Or should I say, welcome back to South Korea. Siwoo, your father dies in 30 minutes. The stage is yours.
Okay. From my memory, do I have any perception of where the gunshot came from that killed my father?
Absolutely. There was a man with a darkened face, a sheet of wavering black curtain where a face should have been. It's weird because no one seemed to notice that, and that should have stuck out to everyone. You remember that he was dressed well and that he was wearing a blood red cravat. That's something you specifically remember because you don't see those cravats often, and that stuck out to you. And when he gunned your father down, he was dead center. He walked from the back of the room, between the cameras, between the paparazzi, came straight up to the base of the stage, and pop! Fired a single shot.
Okay. And do I know where my father is right now?
He's probably on the floor making rounds.
So, Arjun and Aton, I need you both to help me in my task to save my father. We have a very limited time, and I need your focus, and I need you to help me right now. Are you with me? Are you with me?
I'm still terrified of you, so yes.
I've seen what you do when people cross you.
Yep.
I'm in.
Yep.
Thank you. I appreciate your help. So what I know is there was a man and he shot my father once my father went up on stage to get his award. He's receiving an award tonight. I need to find my father, and I need to find this man, and we need to get him down. I don't know where either of them are, so I think the best course of action would be to go to the floor and first try and find my father. So I'm going to go ahead and turn and just start walking that way and hope that they follow.
I'm going to shout out to Siwoo. I'm going to stand out a bit. Do you know any place I could get something to wear?
No, you're dressed in evening attire. You are
Oh,
dressed
okay.
for this occasion.
Because
Oh,
last I
okay.
recall, I was
Arrived.
wearing boxers and boots.
No, you are dressed in a black suit, ready for the occasion, both of you. And it's
I
also
take it
very
back.
peculiar because Aton and Arjun, you don't speak Korean. You do now.
Oh, well, that's convenient.
But we still look like ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
How many people are around us? Is there like a crowd forming yet?
Yeah, right now you guys are currently in the dressing room. So the second you follow Siwoo out, you're going to be opening in to this just massive gallery area where there are paintings and tapestries on the walls. They have those massive high ceilings that are completely glass, that are just draped with curtains. I mean, this is definitely a fine, well-to-do gala of sorts, and it is packed. It's not shoulder to shoulder, it's not neck to neck, but you do have to maneuver around a bit. And both Siwoo, well, actually, all three of you are going to experience this, but Siwoo, this rattles you just a bit. There is nonstop camera flashing. Lenses are clapping, people are talking, mics are being shoved in people's faces. There are cords all over the floor, and there's just this menagerie of activity. And Siwoo, you used to love the flash of the cameras, but right now, every single clack, flash is a reminder that you don't have time to waste. You don't have time for these interviews. You don't have time to mollycoddle the press. You are on a clock.
Okay.
I would say at this... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, surveying the room, is there anyone that... First, do I see my father? And if I don't see my father, is there anyone that I know he associates with often?
Mm-hmm. Surveying the room, if you step out and move around just a bit, if you move around that, that freestanding waterfall, if you hop on the other side of like one of these freestanding bars, you can see your father politely smiling and making conversation. And he catches you from across the room. He throws you a wink, and you're reminded of something that's not quite clicking in your mind. Your father threw you a wink and a smile. Your father loves you. Something is wrong. There's a disconnect from which you remember you and your father weren't close. You were constantly vying for his attention, but now he's showing you affection. There's a disconnect as another flash goes off in your face, but you see him.
I will make my way over to my father. And before I do so, Arjun and Aton, I would like you close by, but maybe not right next to my father and I, since he doesn't know who you are.
I was going to say, so this kind of situation with a lot of people crammed together in a space, Arjun is used to this, even though he doesn't like it. Like, it's a little bit triggering, but it's something that he is familiar with. So in this moment, like, he'll start remembering the type of people he would have to be engaged with in this type of situation. And so he would start looking for people who make him uncomfortable. And then he would also, I think he would end up losing focus every time he heard the camera go off, because sometimes those men would also take pictures of him.
flashing cameras and the shuttering of lenses is definitely an uncomfortable sensation for you, Arjun. Absolutely. Arjun, can you do me a favor and roll me I think I want to see a perception, please.
What is perception? Is that
That'd be
Observe a
2d10.
situation.
2d10? But I'm not.
Oh,
read it.
dead
It'd
center
be-
of the chart. Observe a situation. But I'm asking for the
Gotcha.
the other roll. So I have the chart for that basically.
13. I get to ask one question.
Nope, sorry for the confusion. If you were doing observe a situation, you would be able to ask a question. But if I'm asking for like willpower, reflexes, or intuition, I actually have the chart on my end.
Okay.
So you're looking. What was your specific question for me? Because 13 is enough. It comes with a penalty, but it's enough.
I would say, is there anyone that I notice who immediately makes me uncomfortable in the ways that I am familiar with, if that makes sense?
That does. As you're surveying the room, your hackles aren't necessarily rising with that particular sensation from anybody in the room. You may have to spend more time observing them, but that's not flagging you. But what does flag you, that touches you on a deeper level, that level of grief and loss and betrayal, what triggers that part of you, there is a woman sitting at a bar. She has a drink in front of her where you can tell that the ice is melted and the glass is condensating on the outside. It looks like she hasn't touched it. She is twisted around in her chair and she's looking at Siwoo's father. Siwoo has pointed out her father. She's heading that direction. And you recognize in her hand that she's turning 2 marbles in her hand. And it looks like she's crying. And it's a strange thing because you understand that heartbreak. You know how she feels, even though you don't know why she's crying. But it's also interesting because she feels like a pariah in an environment like this. Everyone is laughing. They're networking. They're socializing. And this woman is crying and no one is doing so much as to pat her on the shoulder to ask if she's okay. The bartender is ignoring her. No one's even handing her a Kleenex. That flags you.
I would, in Arjun's way, like to, for lack of a better word, kind of slither up to her because
Okay.
he's got that lithe movement, that very flowy kind of. He'll walk through the crowd like he's the dude that doesn't get stopped in the club because he finds the nooks and crannies.
Okay.
And he will sidle up next to her, and I want to distract her. I'm unsure how, so I will simply put my hand on her lower back and I'll say, "Dear, are you okay?"
She turns and she looks to you, and it's almost like being seen. Somebody recognizing her breaks her further, and she begins to sob, and she reaches out a hand to touch the side of your face, and her hand is hot. It is hot. It is blistering hot. It hurts when she touches your face. It doesn't burn. It's not scalding, but there's a heat there. And she looks at you and says, "Do you know where she is?" Hopping over to Siwoo and Aton. Siwoo, you gave them very specific orders. Follow me, but stay behind. Arjun was like, I choose to go on the other side of the room. So it's just the 2 of you guys right now.
Okay.
I want to keep a distance back from Siwoo as she crosses the room. But given all of the flash bulbs and all the photos being taken, can I roll my advantage?
Oh, I am going to say yes, even as I look to your character sheet to remember what it is. Yeah, you sure
It is
can.
intimidating. Roll plus violence. Something about me makes people fear me.
I like this. Yeah, roll that beautiful being footage.
Oh, Jesus.
How good is it, guys? Tell me. I need to know. You know, I need to know.
It's a 7. It's a 7. Actually, that's a 7 with a +3 added to it to get to a 7.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but that's okay. I have your chart up here for a second. The name of that thing is Intimidated, correct?
Intimidating, yes.
I'm sure everything is going to work out for you, Matt.
Oh, sure. It's going to be great. I'm scowling at people trying to walk by, and it's just an angry teddy bear.
At a gala, mind you.
At a gala, yeah. I mean, at least the suit looks good.
Everything's fine.
Oh,
Everything's
yeah.
fine.
Everything's going to be great. Especially as I continue to look through here and I can't immediately find intimidating jumping out. So I'm about to make up your stuff on the fly, which is going to make it even worse for you. You rolled a 7?
A 7.
While I'm continuing to do one more search, why don't you tee me up on what this looks like?
I would imagine as he's crossing the room, obviously everybody is taking pictures of everybody across the room.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to be seen, and I'm giving Siwoo her distance,
Okay.
walking up to her father. But as people are coming up to Aton, taking his picture, instead of the other people around him smiling and waving for the cameras, he is just trying to mean mug them. Like his eyebrows are down, his face does not look like he's happy to be there, and he's almost trying to scare away the paparazzi to make himself a better path.
Okay. I finally found intimidating. Thank you for the stall on that one. And great narrative description over there, by the way, Matt. There's something about you that instinctively makes others fear you, whether you're trying to frighten another person. With a less than 9, they see you as their primary threat and act accordingly. The GM makes a move against you. So you are posturing, you are disrupting the photos, you are intimidating the people around you, and you turn to your left and a flash goes off and it blinds you and you grimace, and you turn to the right and another one goes off, and it's feeling louder and hotter in this room, and you're having a hard time trying to keep yourself together because what are you doing here? Why is this a thing? And by the time you turn around that last time, you are face to face with a security guard that is looking to you. He's dressed in a black on suit, and he looks to you and he grabs you by your elbow and he starts leading you away. The move I'm making is basically split the party. He doesn't say a word to you. He just grabs you and he begins to relocate you. Siwoo.
Okay. I am going to head over to my father. Is he talking to anyone that I know right now?
Yeah, absolutely. He's actually talking to one of his business partners at the firm right now. So this is a gentleman that you are very well aware of.
Okay. So I will walk up to my father and I'll kind of put my hand on his arm and just say, I'm so proud of you today. I'm so happy that we're here. Do you mind if we have a quick word in the dressing room when you have a minute?
He looks down to you, Siwoo, and he smiles. He's proud of you. He's happy to see you in this moment. And he says, his brief apologies to his colleague as he places his hand over yours. Your father loves you. Something is wrong. There's a disconnect here that you're having a hard time figuring out, but you're ironed in on the task. And he looks at you like, of course. And he looks at his watch and he stops. He says, can it wait until after the award?
It cannot. No. This is very important.
His face goes dark. He looks over your right shoulder and he looks over your left shoulder as if he's hunting. And he looks to you and he says, what's wrong?
Maybe we should go in private. And I kind of start to tug on his arm to try and get him to walk back to the dressing room.
This should require more effort than it is. But he's walking with you and he looks concerned. But you're able to walk him through the flashes of light, the questions. He does continue to stop to do a smile or to kiss you on your cheek for the camp. There's a lot of that and it's slowing you down, Siwoo. This is time you don't have. But he has to play to the press. He has to.
Yeah. I'm going to let him take his time with some of the pictures. But as the pictures are being taken, each time just kind of tug a little bit to encourage.
Okay. Flash, tug, pulling him away. Flash, tug, pulling him away. Flash, tug, pulling him away. And Siwoo, you find yourself completely surrounded for a moment, just bathing in this just luminosity. And your eyes are darting around the room, hoping that maybe you can catch this individual with the curtain face and the red cravat, but something still feels wrong. It feels like you're not connecting with something. This memory feels inauthentic, tampered with, implanted. What actually happened this night, Siwoo? And I need you to make me a willpower roll, please.
Okay. That is a 12.
Okay. 12 is a success with a complication. You're pulling on your father as, he jerks for a bit and looks to you sternly before, coming to follow you along. And you think back. What do you actually remember about this night, Siwoo? The night that your father was gunned down. With a 12, you think back and you're like, you know what? it wasn't a man with a blood red cravat. That is a villain's invention. A creative one, no doubt, but still an invention of your own imagination. It wasn't a man at all. It was a woman. A crying woman. A grieving woman. A mother that you broke. A mother whose child you knew better than she ever would. I mean, after what you did to that boy, you really saw the true him. And that's the beauty of it, isn't it? You got to bring out everything from within inside him. And when you were finished with him, you knew him intimately. This was a child who you had measured, evaluated, and what did the staff say at dinner at the Meadows? Fed through a political meat grinder. He was weak, and you tore him asunder. And indeed, Siwu, you feasted on the leftovers. You feasted on that boy. And not physically, of course. Cannibalism is basic, feral, and you're elegant, an artist. You feasted on the grief, on the pleas for help and the screams. It was insatiable, and your father was proud of you. And that's when it hits you like a ton of bricks, Siwu. The target wasn't your father. The target was you. The blood that keeps reappearing in your lap isn't your father's blood soaking through. It's your blood pouring out of you. You're the target, and that woman is somewhere here in this room. I need to keep it together, please.
Yeah, that's just fine. And I am under some serious stress, so that's a little bit of an effect there. So 11.
With an 11. Help me out with your move on that one, baby, and then I'll tie in the rest of you.
So I get to choose one condition.
Okay.
And I will become distracted.
I like it. Okay. You become distracted, and this is a -2 in situations where the condition limits you, which is 100% going to be this moment. Siwu, this realization hits you as you're hit with another flash and another flash and another flash and another flash.
Okay. Surrounded, I am feeling disoriented. Like, I'm not exactly sure where I am for a minute. I know that I'm pulling on my father's arm to try and get him back, but now that's not what I need to do. So at this moment, I am going to be looking for the two people that I feel like I've gone through something with, which at this point is Aton and Arjun. I'm looking for either one of them.
Okay. You are blinded by a flash, and you look to the left, and you can see that Aton is being pulled away by security. There's one gentleman that is pulling him by the elbows. He's getting joined by another gentleman that he has mic'd over that are just kind of like preying in on him like two raptors cutting through the crowd to lock down Aton. And when you look over to your right and you're scanning and you're looking at your bar and the water fountain, and there's another flash, and your father is now pulling you, but you're not moving. So now he's confused, and he's looking at you because he doesn't understand what you're going through. You're disoriented, and you see her. You see that boy's mother. And he currently has his hand on Aton or Arjun's face. Arjun, cutting over to you. This woman has a warm, overly warm, it's like an overcharged heating pad hand on your cheek. She's not your friend. You don't know what she does to boys like you. You don't know what she did to mine.
That's true. I don't. But what do you have in mind?
And she sniffs and she pulls her hand away from you. You know that your cheeks are red, even though you can't see it. You know that they're red. The flesh is raised a bit. And she opens up her purse, and she has a revolver there. I'm going to stop her from hurting another boy. She reaches a finger out and she touches you right here. She's like, shh. She cut him from here, and she runs a hot finger down your chest.
I have this idea that Arjun is kind of a hot-blooded mammal in that, like, he runs real cold. And so he's going to take his hands, like, I mean, he spent a lot of time in basements, like very cold, dank spots. So I think he would just get used to that. And so he's going to take her hand and just kind of hold it between both of his. and just look at her and try to calm her down, both physically with the temperature and just like bringing her hand down, like trying to just bring everything down.
Wow, I absolutely love this. Babe, can you roll me a charisma? Feels great for this.
All right.
So dead center of the pyramid is 1 drop down. This is me calling for whatever skill where I control the moves in the background.
Okay. Oh, it's gonna be a 14.
Take narrative, because it's very rare that people actually nail these.
I think he'll bring everything down. He'll keep her hand in between his, and then he'll let go. He'll feel the entirety of her kind of calm down, level out a little bit. Like the grief is still there, but there's less hate behind it. And then he will put his hand over the gun and say that this isn't going to help you. You've suffered enough. You'll only suffer more after, because it's still not going to bring him back.
She nods. And Arjun, it's a sensation to have a maternal figure look to you with adoration and pride, because that's what this woman is showing you. And she agrees with you. And then she says, she's already taking it out of me. And she starts unbuttoning the collar of her shirt. And it starts going down, and you can see as her shirt opens up, the flesh on the inside has already started to peel and pull apart. It's very reminiscent to the staff member that you saw on the table with the exposed rib cage. The only thing is, when the flesh peels away and the bone begins to separate in her chest, her intestines are just this rolling ball of black, slippery mass that you can see just moving and spinning underneath this exposed rib cage. I need to keep it together, please.
Yeah, you do.
You.
Where is that? That is right there. Okay. Oh no.
Tell me you hit less than a 9.
That's an 8. Yeah, that's an 8.
The strain is too much for your mind to handle. The GM chooses your reaction.
We are not keeping it together.
No, you're definitely not keeping it together. Nope.
Mm-mm.
Whoo, you cower powerlessly in the threat's presence, panic, no control of your actions, suffer emotional trauma, or suffer a life-changing trauma.
Oh, I think we got to go with the former. I think in that moment he's gonna revert back to like prisoner Arjun, slave Arjun, and he's gonna try to find a corner to cower in, like somewhere shadowy, somewhere where he can't be seen, somewhere he thinks he's invisible.
You know what's dark and unseen and would make you feel completely invisible in this particular moment with a 9 and this -2 stability you're about to take?
No.
If you could just hide for a moment in the bosom of a woman that wasn't here to prey on you, if you could just hug yourself in the moment of a place where someone sees you and understands you, that would be a really safe place for you to go.
Yep.
She hugs you. Then she brings you in.
Yep.
And your nose heads into this writhing mass of black intestines. And she goes,
It's
my
warm.
boy, it's warm and it's
warm.
safe.
It's comforting.
My boy, my poor boy. Aton, you're currently held by the elbow by one security guard and another one is beelining in on you.
Am I able to look around to see what's happening around me? Noticing Siwoo leaving with her father, or Arjun being just embracing this strange woman?
Yeah, I will give you that you're able to see both of those.
Oh, why would you do this to me? I am going to try to break free of the security guard holding me.
Okay.
In an effort to, because I see Arjun just embracing this
A woman.
I should ask.
Crying
I
woman.
just see a woman. Okay, I don't see any of the. Okay.
No, Arjun is definitely getting a lung full of all of that activity right now. But right now, it just looks like he's being hugged by a pitiful woman at a bar.
My face is basically covering the horror. Yes.
Okay, then I will try to break free and run towards Siwoo to find out, because our goal there is to protect her father. Being let out of this gala is not gonna work.
Okay. May I have an engage in combat, please? Basically a violence roll.
You may. Thankfully, I'm good at that.
It is kind of your thing.
It is an 11.
Oh, engage in combat. You have your rules up. You're going to be able to break away or inflict damage by at a cost. The GM chooses one. Actually, you don't get to choose. This is a me choice.
I don't get to choose. You choose.
You're subjected to a counterattack. You do less damage. You lose something important. You expend all your ammo. You're beset by a new threat. You'll be in trouble later on. I think we all know what Bridgett is going to go for. You'll be in trouble later on. The stage is yours, babe. Take narrative.
So Aton is going to throw an elbow into the stomach of the man on his arm. And assumedly, the paparazzi are still on him from attempting to scare them away. And he is just going to start windmilling his way across the room as best he can. Because what he sees is Arjun is embracing this strange woman, but she just looks sad, and Arjun, maybe he seemed like a kind soul when they met at the Meadows. But Siwoo leaving with her father, I've seen what happens when you lose sight of somebody you're trying to take care of. And I don't want Siwoo to be in that situation alone. So he is going to just start throwing elbows and fists and just start punching the cameras to get across the room to Siwoo with just reckless abandon. He's very aware this is not a good idea.
No, it's not.
But he is going to do his best. And as he's crossing, he's going to shout out Siwoo's name.
This draws a lot of attention for you, Aton. But you were still successful in your role, very much like Moses parting the Red Sea. People who don't want to have their drinks spilled on them or be attacked by this random irate 16-year-old kid that's just completely wiling out of disappointment. Just like Moses, the sea splits for you. You can see as you're throwing bows and you're just wailing absently, almost like lights are turning on with security all around the room. You can recognize the eye contact darting back and forth. You can hear them talking into their mouthpieces. You can see them unholstering weapons that they have beneath their suit jackets. And it looks like you have the attention of everyone in this room, including Siwoo's father and Siwoo, who you have a direct path to right now.
I will try to charge towards them, but also at the very last minute, turn hard left away from them. And as I'm running by, I want to shout to Siwoo, I'll get the event shut down, get him out of here.
Okay. I think this is a beautiful time to turn the camera back to Siwoo.
At this point, I'm going to tug on the front of my father's shirt to get him down so I can whisper into his ear, because he's taller than I am. So whispering is a loose term. It's very loud in here now. So I'm just cupping around my mouth so people aren't reading my lips and they're not getting pictures of what I'm saying. And I'm telling my father, I'm like, we are in danger. We need to stick together. We need to get out of this gala as soon as possible. This person that you just saw running towards us, he is on our side. We need to make sure that he can shut down the event. And we're going to get out of here as soon as possible. Please trust me. And I please trust me, with a lot of pleading in my voice. And I'm going to just grab his hand and head for the nearest exit that I see.
Let me see an influence other. And I'm going to give you a +2 to this roll because you are daddy's little girl.
Yes. That's a 6. So the character gets +1 on her next roll against you. The GM makes a move.
Your father believes you. You are in danger. Something is happening. And your father really hates to be out of control. But he has to prioritize his concerns and his intentions and his attention at this point. Wild Aton running in one direction is a major problem. He grabs you by his wrist and he is going to like pull you with magnificent force. You can actually feel the strain in your shoulder blade as it jumps, as he's getting ready to march you a different direction. And he looks dead down the face of a woman, a mother that you both recognize, that currently has Arjun's head in her chest, and she is stroking the back of your head. Arjun, my boy, my sweet, sweet boy. And you can feel her moving on the outside, but you are currently drowning in the fluids and the intestines of her son on the inside. And she reaches her hand into the bag and pulls out a gun. And at this point, it is coming straight at you, Siwoo. You have 4 minutes at this point, in game, out of game, to save this man's life. Go.
Okay. I am going to sprint as fast as I can towards this woman, but weaving in case she goes to shoot at me. So I'm doing the weave, and I'm going to try and tackle her.
Okay, I absolutely love it. I'm going to need you to actually engage in combat first to see if you can break away from your father.
Okay. 7. So the attack does not go as anticipated. And the GM makes a move.
The move is your father has a death grip tight on your wrist. You can already feel the circulation cutting off. And in addition to that, how did this woman get into this event? He thought he handled this. Obviously he didn't. And his move, my move, is you're paralyzed in place right now by your father, who's getting ready to hold you in spot as you're about to get gunned down again. Aton or Arjun?
Yeah. So I think at this point, Arjun, while he is physically drowning in the entrails of this woman's body, he is also drowning in the comfort of the warmth and her embrace. He can feel like he's wrapped his arms around her so he can feel the warmth on her back. And it is a comfort to have someone who is there under honest intentions, for lack of a better phrase. So he's going to bury his face deeper inside her. And you let me know how you want to do this. But he wants to whisper into her, "I will be your boy." Knowing that this will solve 2 problems. It will stop an assassination, and it will give him a place that he can feel safe in.
May I please have an act under pressure +2? This is going to be 2d10 plus your coldness +2, minus any applicable stability loss.
It's going to be a 14. Just barely.
You do it, but hesitate or delayed or must deal with a complication. The GM reveals an unexpected outcome, a high price, or a difficult choice. Are you really willing to stay with her forever? Are you willing to become her boy?
Yeah. It feels good. It feels right, even though I think Arjun understands that this isn't quite reality somehow. I think he would give in to the irreality of the moment because it is the truest thing he's ever felt.
You're drowning in a black sea of intestines inside this woman's chest, and you tell her that you'll be her boy, and she sobs. Everything feels so still inside as she wraps one arm just deep around your waist, pulling you deeper into her chest. And Aton and Siwoo, she had that gun pointed down directly at you, Siwoo. And she is looking down at Arjun, who's buried in her chest, who is willing to be her child. And there's only one way that she can make sure that she and Arjun are together forever. And she puts the barrel of the gun directly at Arjun's head and pulls the trigger. Aton.
I am assumedly still running through the crowd of people, sort of just creating chaos as I go. When I hear the gunshot,
Bang.
I am going to turn as quickly as I can and turning back, knowing that she had a gun, she had Arjun. I am going to charge as hard as I can at this woman and just shout, "What the fuck have you done?" I'm not saying explicitly to her. I want that to go both ways.
You run up to her, and at this point, you're no longer fighting flashes and clacks and lenses. You're fighting through a sea of scared and frantic people who have heard a gunshot, and their first instinct is to stampede out of the way. So you're pushing through people. You're running. You're finally able to get to her as Arjun's body slips out of this open maw of a cavity on her chest. His face is absolutely slick with black. He's got pieces of flesh and tissue hanging out of his mouth and an open bullet wound that is seeping blood, and he falls to the floor. And you get to this woman and you scream at her like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And she says, "No, he wanted it. He's my boy now."
I'm going to try to grab the gun out of her hand.
Okay. She's elated right now because she has a new boy. She doesn't fight you. There's no real resistance. You don't even have to pry it out of her fingers as much as you just slide it out of her fingers.
Then I would like to take the gun, point it directly under her chin, and pull the trigger.
Cutting over to Siwoo right before that bullet goes off. I won't even make you roll and engage in combat for something like this. Siwoo? There's so much happening.
I am deeply uncomfortable for multiple reasons. At this point, I'm in a very glittery dress this evening, so there's like shining coming off of my dress, and I'm frozen in place with my father, and all I can think to do is just tug him down so that he's covering me. Like, I want protected, which is not something I normally feel like I need, but I am just so overcome with everything that's happening that I'm like forcing him over me so I can try and hide.
You don't have to pull him hard. He comes down with you, and almost as if he's trying to bury you from this particular scene as well. He drapes over you, and he holds you, and he tells you, "I love you." And you hear a single gunshot go off. Siwoo, you are alone. You are suddenly in an office, a corporate office of some sort, high up, way too high up. There's no sun, but through the glass ahead of you, you can see something that hangs in the sky beneath this star or whatever it is. There's a never-ending sea of buildings, warehouses, skyscrapers, towers, castles, cathedrals. This room has a single desk, an office chair, and 2 seated chairs before it. Thunder, or what you assume is thunder, claps, and like rain, droplets of fire begin to fall from the sky outside, casting red, orange, and yellow dancing lights through the rooms. You soon hear a symphony of agonized screams coming from below. The following description is inspired by a symphony backer by the name of Ali Ravi, with a couple modifications. The chair spins, and a nude individual rises from the chair and begins to approach you, Siwoo. It appears to have a feminine form. You can see the curve of its naked breast, but you quickly realize that these breasts have been crudely sewn on to an old man's chest. There are several deep lacerations on each side of the chest, flank, waist, and thighs. Each cut is crudely sewn back together. It's wearing a single blood-red cravat tucked and sewn into the lacerations on its neck. Above you, you can't help but to admire this Siwu. There's a nude woman that hangs from a metal bar, somehow mounted through her shoulder blades. She's on display. Her limbs are spread, skin pulled away from her malnourished body, showing muscle underneath. The skin has been pulled taut to give the illusion of bastardized angel wings, and she's spinning slowly, like a ceiling fan or a decorative chandelier. And she's locked eyes with a mirror image of her perfect twin, another woman that dangles and spins. This creature smiles at you. Its eye sockets are sunken in, and the mouth, when it smiles wide, you can see additional cuts on either side that lead all the way up to the back of its face where you can see its teeth. And he looks to you, Siwu, and he says, "Who is trying to wake you up?"
I will walk over to the desk, sit down in the chair that was spinning, and motion across from me in the seats that are on the other side for this thing to sit down.
It looks at you and it smiles as those cuts pull apart, and it likes this game, whatever game you're attempting to play with it here in its personal hell. It's amused, and it moves around the table with its finger running across the desk, and you can see engraved on the desk is that symbol of a snake eating itself. And it sits down and says, "You're not my 4 o'clock, but I think I'll keep you."
You tell me who's trying to wake me up.
"I can smell it on you." He sniffs across the desk. Those breasts jump for a moment. "But I don't recognize the odor."
What do you smell on me?
Arjun, what does Jigna Patel smell like? I always tee up Bucho with the sensory questions, and I always get that same response, and I love it.
She smells like honeysuckle on the first part of spring, like that early honeysuckle, real sweet, but not cloyingly so.
And he looks to you, Siwu. He says, "Honeysuckle." And his lips or his tongue starts moving in and out of those gashes on his face. A blatant attempt to either intimidate or arouse you, and you're not really sure which. He says, "It sticks on you. Tell me its name."
Is it a smell that you like?
"No."
Well, maybe I should get somewhere to get cleaned up then.
And he rises from the chair and he puts either hand on the desk as those breasts begin to swing, and the right one, you can tell, comes free of its stitching and is kind of like hanging on off of just one side. He says, "No, I think you'll stay here until you give me a name. Who is trying to wake you up?"
Do I have any pens, anything on this desk, or is it completely clear?
No, when you look at the desk now, there's a candy jar of black diamonds. They look like little edible black diamonds that's on the desk. And then there's a stapler, and there's a letter opener. And then just off to the side, you can see hanging off of like one of the doors, there's a blood-soaked swastika that's drying on a rack somewhere on the side of the desk.
Okay. Siwu is feeling very intimidated by the situation, but she's keeping her cool. I'm going to palm the letter opener, make sure that I have that at the ready, and then start slowly backing away from this creature and just saying, I think it's time that I leave, and I will start backing away.
Okay. You back up from the desk, and it's almost like a flash of light of yellow and orange and red as this fire that is raining from the sky just like bursts with illumination. Um, and he looks to you, and as you start moving around the right side of the desk, he actually intentionally cuts around to the left as if he's giving you an out, which you immediately know something very, very bad is getting ready to happen. And he says, "Tell me your name before I extract the name of your waker."
I'm Siwoo.
And he smiles. You can see the teeth pulled all the way back. And he says, "And I am," and he gives you this name, Siwoo. And just him uttering the pronunciation of his name staggers you. Your vision goes completely red for a moment. By the time it comes back online, it's completely white. You know that sensation when you step off of a curb and you have a car that's coming at you, and there's that moment of panic and dread, but also acknowledgement that like this is probably going to end you're suspended in that exact moment for seconds and seconds and seconds, just anticipating this inevitable impact. It feels inescapable. It feels like a bomb of glass shards has just gone off in your head, and you can feel blood running down the inside and the outside of your nose. But this blood is hot, and it feels like it almost feels like you just did a neti potty of gasoline. You can feel it running down the back of your throat. You can feel it running down one of your nostrils. And this was just from this creature saying its name. But it is giving you an out. You can go between the twirling angels, and you know there's a door behind you.
Yeah, I'm going to sprint. I'm running for it.
And he says something behind you as blood is running down your face, and you open the door. And the three of you are back in that watershed. You're back in the clothes that you were wearing prior to the gala. And you're back in that watershed where you guys were trying to get your heat on and see where you were going to regroup and do better.
Do I still have the gun?
Yes, because per the descriptions that you read before, it carries over. Which also means Siwoo has that letter opener.
Okay.
Do I still have the fire poker?
Yes. Because you picked
Okay.
that up here, stoking the fires that all those dolls were under.
All the doll heads. Yeah.
Yep. You have it.
And I'm in this moment, do we understand what's just happened? Like we are cognizant of the experience that we just had.
I can answer yes to that phrasing of the question. Yes.
Okay. I think Arjun would be really depleted in this moment, having gone through like the submission of himself to someone else.
Yeah.
And then being rejected by that because he had relished the comfort so much. I think he would be depleted.
Okay.
And so he would need to sit down for a minute.
Okay. Arjun, you go to the floor.
I am looking to Arjun just to like do a double take to make sure that he is living and breathing the way that I recall him being.
He is. He doesn't have a bullet hole in his head. He's there.
I will take the scarf that I'm wearing and wrap it around Arjun as he's on the ground.
I think I would flinch at the touch. But then I think once I realized what was happening and where we were, like really come to knowing where we were, it'd be okay. I mean, I'd still be freaked out because it's you. But it feels like a very motherly kind of thing that you're doing. it's not being done maliciously or with ill intent.
Mm-hmm.
This is happening. Aton is about here because in his mind, seeing Arjun be taken by this woman, even though it didn't happen in the moment, he was queued up to scream, "No one needs to be taken." Because in that moment, he saw Red losing Arjun, and as he's trying to come down, the adrenaline is just quickly depleting from everything that's just happened. He's going to just drop to the ground in that sort of just emotional exhaustion. And he's going to look at the ground, look at the gun in his hand, and then just say, "Natalia." And he'll turn to Siwoo and ask, "Did it work?"
It worked. It worked. Thank you. Siwu actually shed a few tears here. She is not usually one to show much emotion around other people, but the relief of being back in the watershed is more than she can handle. So she'll hide herself a bit, but Aton, you see her wipe away some tears.
When Arjun hears you say it worked, you just see this thumb go up in the air, and he'll say, "Fantastic."
In a rare moment of any semblance of human emotion, you just see Aton reach out a hand and put it on Siwoo's shoulder, because this guy has never shown anything but just anger and violence. And he mutters as he puts his hand on her shoulder, "Maybe we can save her."
I think we can. I think we can save her.
As he slowly checks how many bullets are in the gun.
Yeah, you've got she shot Arjun. So what, 5?
Okay.
That was a chamber of 6, 5, yeah. And guys, just for the sheer beauty and the stretch of, because I know your characters, and that was a stretch for all 3 of you guys. I mean, all 3 of you guys, that's a stretch. You can roll your stabilities up by 1. There is comfort in community, and there is clarity in knowing what you have to do. What do you guys do? You can turn the heat on. It's warming up in here. It's still snowing outside. If you look out one of the windows, the Mississippi River is still flowing vertically. The water is still going straight up into the air. So you know that whatever this is still somewhere in between. But you're together.
I think Arjun would get up, having heard the heaters come on, knowing that sound very well. And I think he would place himself right in front of it and try to replicate the feeling of being embraced again with that heat.
Bridgett,
I'm gonna try to ruin you tonight.
Woo! All jokes aside, I can't wait for the talk back because y'all got me 3 times already. I'm counting. Arjun, you are basking in this heat, and you're thinking about that embrace of a woman who, without hesitation, was willing to take you on as her own, a woman who was going to love you, a woman who was going to be a mother that you never had, and the thought comes to you immediately as you're just basking in the heat of this furnace. You can smell the dust cooking off of the coils, so it has this incendiary smell to it that gets a little bit stronger than you would have anticipated, and you realize, like, you know what, you actually don't deserve that type of affection. You have done nothing to earn a mother's love. You're not a child, you're a piece of property. You're the doll. You've been owned. You only have value when you belong to someone else. And a chain snaps somewhere in the back of the watershed, and a kayak topples over. That was like suspended to the ceiling, topples over and falls onto the floor, where, like, you know, the seated portion is seated down. So you're looking at the arch there. And the longer you attempt to connect with the feelings of being wanted and loved and appreciated, Arjun, the further you can feel something is reminding you, shredding you, excising that hope from you, because you don't deserve it. You'll never deserve it.
I think at this point, the heat is losing its luster. And so Arjun is moving from selfish mode to selfless mode. And so it's his job to take care of the equipment in the boathouse and anything related to that. So he would start immediately. First, he would be okay with going back into the cold part of the shed. And then he's very okay getting to work and trying to put the canoe back up or the kayak back up, or just rearrange. Like, he would go immediately into work mode.
Okay. All three of you will see Arjun move from the heated mounted unit on the wall and move to the kayak. And that's when the three of you turn and watch Arjun go to lift his kayak, and you see, all three of you, that there is a small child's hand that is protruding from the other side of the kayak, and it's moving around like it's trying to get its footing. It's reaching out towards one of you. It reaches out to you towards Siwoo, and then it kind of retracts and it goes to Aton. And then when it finds Arjun, it starts panicking with this just abrupt motion where it looks like maybe this child's shoulder is caught on the other side of the kayak where it's reaching to you. And then that's when you all hear chains. Multiple chains. Chains are wagging, chains are glistening, chains are straightening, chains are clanking, and this child's hand gets snatched abruptly back under the kayak, and the kayak just kind of wobbles for a second and then goes back into its resting position.
Is there space behind the kayak?
Yes.
I would try to run back there.
Okay.
I think at this point, like, that part of the shed is probably the furthest away from the heater.
Yeah.
This is what I'm picturing in my head. So he would be okay running into the deepest part of the cold to continue doing his job. But, like, clearly there's something happening that needs attending to.
Yeah. Aton and Siwoo, anything in this scene before I keep going?
I am actually happy to see Arjun trying to go to work, and I very much quickly, like, wipe away the tears, and I'm like, yes, I'm here for this. And I will go over to the kayak and start trying to help him.
Okay.
And I'll be Aton is kind of torn between going to warm up because he doesn't have a lot of clothing on.
Yeah.
In the boathouse. But seeing the two of them go to work and realizing that, you know, we're all in this shit together right now.
Yeah.
Barefoot and blue silk pajamas, dog.
Barefoot and blue silk pajamas. He'll tuck the gun in the back of his waistband and just kind of walk over, and he won't say anything, but he'll help lift up the kayak a bit and just give Arjun this look of, I'm only helping you so you can help me. It's very transactional at this point.
Oh, Arjun recognizes that look very well.
Yeah, he does.
He knows it very well. I think there's going to be a moment where he gets real disappointed for a second. Oh man, this is a really good night. I think he's going to continue just like he will continue taking your help, but now there's a standoffishness that's going to creep in. There's a distrust that's going to start becoming a problem.
Arjun, there's not safety in numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the clarity that you thought you had.
Nope.
You know that look, and you know that once he helps you, that you're going to be expected to pay up. And there's only one currency that you're used to exchanging, and your stability goes back down by 1. As you all lift the kayak, a voice comes from beneath it. A very sweet, feminine voice. Arjun, come here, sweetie. How did you get loose? And there's a moment where the kayak topples back out of your hands, out of your grips. It rips and it tears and it just runs and rolls back to the back of the shed. And standing there before the three of you is a woman dressed in a vintage nurse outfit. You know, the ones that has like the high collar with the high sleeves. It's all black and it has a big white apron on the front. That's what's standing in front of you. As you guys are looking at this apron and you're smelling this apron. It is stained with blood and baby food and bile, vomit, and other fluids that you can't quite place. And she's carrying on her an open neck manacle, an iron one. And as you're looking at the manacle, you notice that she smells of burnt hair and charred flesh. And especially you, Arjun, as you're looking at the inside of this manacle, you can see that it's stained with dried blood, bits of like gray tissue, and there's a fingernail just stuck on the inside of the C of this manacle. And you can't help but to notice that the circumference around your throat burns, Arjun. It feels raw, exposed, diseased. And when you touch it and your fingers come back, there's bits of gray tissue and blood. And you look at your hand and you realize that you're missing a fingernail. The bed is exposed and it's gray and it's not bleeding anymore, but it's pussy and you know that it's infected and it hurts. And when you look back up, this woman smiles at you again and suddenly you're just in the room with her. And she says, how did you get loose? Come here, sweetie. It's fine. She's motioning you towards her with this open manacle.
I immediately back to previous Arjun. Like I have regressed in this moment. I kind of skitter over to her, kind of like on my knees, on my feet, but like not standing upright, like very feral.
Yeah.
And so I'll skitter over to her. I'm assuming this is Mrs. Avari.
No, this is much worse than Mrs. Avari. This is going to wind up being a clerical servant to, I'm going to mispronounce all of these death gods' name, by the way, but Chigadio. This is way worse. Miss Avari would be a blessing right now.
Jesus. Okay.
That's right, sweetie. Come here. Who let you out of these? Come here. She's cooing at you like she would do a dog. She's summoning a puppy back to her lap.
I don't know. I woke up and I was free.
I know, it's scary being free, isn't it? Come here, lift up your chin. And she's going to reset this manacle. It's a necklace that you wear. It's a necklace that you were born with. It's what you belong in. And you can hear it engage on the back. And you notice that there's a chain connect to a hook on the front. By the way, it is a perfect fit.
And it feels great. Like I'm used to this particular collar.
Yeah, it's your collar. It was custom made for Arjun. It's the one thing in this world that sees you for exactly what you are. A doll. And there's a hook on the front and a chain that leads somewhere in the distance. And as you look around, this nursemaid, lifts you to your feet and she pulls your hair back. And she says, can you give me the name of whoever this is that let you out?
Who let me out of where?
Well, your collar, silly.
I don't know. I was asleep.
No. No, I think you've been awake. I think you're waking up faster than we would prefer. Someone let you out of this collar. And she jerks for a second and your neck snaps. And you realize that this woman isn't your friend. This is more or less a corrections officer. And she says, tell me, someone let you out.
I don't know. Maybe it was the Korean woman with the gun. I don't know.
Oh, Arjun, if you don't tell me who let you out, then I'll have to send you back to him. And Arjun, when you look around, you notice that you're just in a single spotlight with blackness all around you. There's a voice, a very preachery sounding voice that I'm going to read just a section of the book out to you here in just a second to what he's preaching. But as you look around, you can see and hear hundreds of children all around you, wailing, crying, sobbing, babbling, cooing. I mean, we're talking anything from toddlers all the way up to early adults, and they're all chained with similar manacles, and all of their chains are leading somewhere in the distance. And in the distance, you can hear grunting, you can hear wailing, you can hear sniffing, and every once in a while, a chain pops, just like you would do if you were leash correcting a dog. The snap. And when that happens, various children will either sob and attempt to run in a different direction, and they're quickly dragged out of your out of the purview of your vision into whatever this thing is in the distance. And some, when they're yanked, they comply because they know what happens when they don't. And a voice above you says, Chigirio's will is directed against the young and innocent, molding them through constant abuse of body, mind, and soul. These children before you shall be torn apart from the inside out and repeatedly traumatized until the litany of assault and fear becomes their life. The trauma itself becomes the principle governing their world. And now this nurse is holding you up. Your feet come off the floor, and she growls at you. Who woke you up?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's okay. It's okay if you don't know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. And she's slowly putting you back onto the ground.
Can I have some warm?
No. You don't deserve it. And you're yanked back at rapid speeds into the darkness. And Arjun, when you awake, you're back in that chamber. That soundproof chamber, that underground room beneath the secret door in Mr. Avari's wine cellar, just down a flight of steps and to the left. What does the play palace look like, Arjun?
Oh, the play palace. Oh my God.
That's what he calls it.
This is a largish room. The collar around my neck is attached to a chain that allows me to walk around the room in very restricted ways. The bed is a child's bed. It's not new, not by any means. It's been well used. It's barely a mattress, really. The sheet would be like an infant's baby blanket, like very small, very like definitely does not cover a teenage body. The walls are concrete. There is evidence that the room has been painted before, but a lot of it has been scraped off, whether by age or by fingernail. And there's a kind of mustiness to the room. There's no water, there's no moisture in the room, but there's a mustiness to the smell of it.
And Siwoo and Aton, you find yourselves here too. And the two of you are wearing two-piece sky blue matching pajamas. They're about a size and a half too small for you. And just like the Meadows staff in your vision, your reality, Arjun. You've all been aged back about 5 or 6 years, so you're sitting somewhere around the 9 to 12-year-old range.
Yep.
And Arjun, when you look around, you notice that your sister Emily isn't here. And that's particular, because where is she? I mean, she's always here with you when Mr. Avari comes down to play. It pains you to watch her suffer, but let's also be honest. Admittedly, it's nice to have someone going through this with you. There's some comfort in not being alone. But she's not here right now, Arjun, and as you try to consider why, you realize something. Emily, your deaf adopted sister, the Avaris adopted you to communicate with her in sign language. But you can't remember the color of her hair. And you vaguely recall her eyes. And that's when you realize, Emily, shy and devoted. Another fucking personality card. Just like the other students at the Meadows. Emily isn't real. I know.
I think we lost.
No, you didn't. You lost me, Arjun, because you're the deaf one here in this situation. You were the one that was born deaf. You were the one born with the clubbed foot. And you remember when they picked you up from that orphanage, none of the hospital administrators could believe that you were adopted that quickly. Their own little broken doll. See, when Aton, you hear a gentleman laughing somewhere above you, a male voice. It chuckles. Joshua, please, you're too kind. No, you've earned it. Closing the McKinley contract, well, let's just say the partners are impressed. Let's have a drink, and I'll show you down to the Play Palace. And Arjun, you hear nothing. That's added insult to injury, isn't it? You never could hear them coming. The door opens for a moment, and a woman peeks in. And Arjun, you know that it should be Mrs. Avari, but it's not. It's Jigna, dressed as Mrs. Avari. And she looks to you, Arjun, and she smiles, and she looks sad, and she signs to you in perfect American Sign Language. If you could change it all right now, would you? You have 30 minutes to try. Good luck. And she waves at you, Siwu, and she waves at you, Aton, and she shuts the door. And Arjun, you know in 30 minutes, 3 gentlemen, Mr. Avari, Joshua, and Mr. Wilkoff, will be coming down their stairs. And you know that their appetites are deep.
Never had help before. Normally, I would say just do what they want and go somewhere else for a while mentally. I think we need to do something different this time. I don't have a sister. Thought I did. I guess I don't. So it's just me. We have to do something different this time. Out of game. Do we have we don't have our things with us, right? In this moment.
Per your reading at the beginning of the game, that shit transfers reality. Aton has a revolver with 5 rounds. Siwu has a letter opener. You have a fire poker.
Okay.
I just want to throw something in before you go, Bucho.
Yep.
As I can see Arjun, like that, I've seen it before. His mind is starting to go to a safer place, putting himself out of the moment.
Yeah.
Aton is going to grab the front of his shirt and just slap him across the face. And even if he can't hear it, I'm just going to look him right in the eye and say, "You stay the fuck with us."
Arjun, you read lips. You can't hear them, but you read lips.
As if to say, where the fuck can I go?
And I'm just gonna tap my head because I can see that, especially with him trying to communicate, it would be evident he was probably not born. Was he born deaf? Out of curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The audio cut out a bit there, but so I'm just gonna tap my head and go, Just shake my head.
I would sign, but I don't think you would get it.
Holy shit, Aton, you do get it.
Oh.
You spoke
'Cause
Korean.
That's true.
Yeah.
We're multilingual, y'all.
Do Aton and I have chains on as well?
Oh, for sure. This is your
Okay.
experience, your shared experience.
Not that coming.
I would immediately try and go for my letter opener to see if I can pick a lock.
Yeah. Okay.
Argent, I would go to the entrance of the room, like
Mhm.
whether it's at the bottom of a stairwell or near the door, and just wait there as they are fiddling around with whatever they want to do. Like as she's trying to get out of her manacles with the letter opener, whatever Aton wants to do, like I would stand watch basically and like see if I could hear anybody coming.
You sure can't hear anything coming. It's one of the dangers with the Avaris. You never hear them
Oh.
coming.
Yeah, I can't because I'm fucking
You're-
deaf.
You're
Right.
deaf.
Yeah.
But you're standing at the door.
I am standing at the door.
You may be able to see the lights coming on the inside of the door from the stairwell outside.
Maybe like
you may be able to
underneath
catch
the door slap. Yeah.
Yep. Or you may be able to feel the vibrations of them coming. There are tales that if you really put your mind to it, to be present and not to run away, you may be able to give them a heads up. Siwoo is going to be rolling me a act under pressure, please, to get these locks off. And then, Aton, what are you doing?
Can I roll to observe a situation?
You damn sure can.
Yeah.
I got a 14 for act under pressure.
Wow. Okay.
So I do it, but I hesitate or delayed, or there must be a complication of some sort.
Ooh. Dealer's choice. How are you feeling right now?
I definitely think I'm fumbling because this is totally opposite of anything I'm used to. Like, this is insanity. Siwoo can't even process that this kind of environment exists. So the fact that now she's found herself in this environment, I am shaking. I am not very cool and composed. So at one point, I'm sure I'm dropping the letter opener, trying to get it back and like working, and it's taking more time than I would like it to.
Okay. Okay, so you're delayed. Beautifully so. Aton, what are you up to in this particular moment?
I rolled an 11 on the observe a situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go off of the sheet and say, what can I use to my advantage? Kind of relying on the fact that Aton, to this point, has been in various clubs and organizational buildings that would have similar facilities to this.
Yeah.
So he's going to try to draw back on things that he's learned. Maybe he didn't pay the closest of attention, but does he notice anything familiar that he's seen in the past that can be used to an advantage?
Yeah, Aton, this may not be the answer that you were anticipating, but it's still going to be the truest answer. You're looking at the way that these chains are bolted to the walls, and you're looking. It's like, nope, these looks like the maintenance is being kept up on them. You're feeling through the manacles. You're like, nope, okay, so these are locked in the back with some type of padlock. I'm probably not going to get out of this. You're looking around the floor, this concrete floor, and it's sparse, and it's stark white. It has a strange must smell to it, and you're just like, okay, so there's nothing I'm working with there, and I can't reach the door. The chains are just short of like being able to reach the door handle. He's like, this is actually a well-constructed room. What can I weaponize? And as your eyes are sorting around the room, they land on Arjun. You have dealt more than you would like with people who traffic young children. You have dealt more than you would like with people who exchange currency for sex. And if nothing else, when people have their little playrooms like this, their high value asset is the person. Anything that you want to weaponize in this room is by weaponizing Arjun. Because if you look at this room, somebody paid really good money to have this here. And if this is going to be the cage, they probably paid really good money or have invested a lot of energy into the pet that they're keeping here.
I feel like we're going real fucking hard tonight, and I'm real fucking here for it. Just
Color
so we
check, by the way.
know.
Green.
Okay.
We're green.
Hella green. Hella
Okay.
green.
Okay.
We're so green.
Neon green.
Okay.
And a part of me has an idea. In character, I don't know that Aton could pull the trigger.
I always like to roll in that situation. Just see what the dice say. That's me.
4.
We're gonna let you interpret that however you choose to interpret that in game. Don't tell us because Bridget's dying to see what that means.
So, as Aton is surveying the room, he is going to walk over knowing that. So Arjun is at the door, correct? Or as close to the door as he can get.
This is close to the door as it gets. Arjun, what would you say that chain stops? About 5 feet from the door? 4 feet from the door? They want to give you enough to give you the promise of escape, but keep you far enough where you can't actually reach the handle.
No, I think it would be within like 6 inches of the tip of my fingers.
Okay.
Like it would be just enough to be Jesus, that's so fucking close. Like if I can just like stretch my body out enough, I can make the 6 inches, only to find that the door is impossibly locked and I am unable to unlock it. Like I think that is how this would work.
He's 6 inches from the door, Aton.
What direction are you facing, Arjun?
Oh, I'm facing the door. Yeah. I
His
can't
neck
hear you.
is at his further extent. A letter opener drops behind you. It's picked back up with shaking hands, and you can hear metal on metal jerking about at Siwoo's collar.
I'm going to walk over to Siwoo and just put my hand on her fumbling hand. And I am going to take the letter opener from her hands.
Does Siwoo allow that?
I'll try to initially show it as like I'm trying to help you jimmy the lock.
Okay. Yes, I will allow that.
Trying to hide the intentions there. And as soon as you let go, with tears running down his cheeks, Aton is going to silently walk up behind Arjun and bury the letter opener in his neck.
Are you walking quickly or slowly?
I would say, because he won't hear it coming, it'll be fairly quickly. Because he's torn inside knowing what he's doing.
There is, as you take the letter opener and don't continue helping me, I am feeling heartbroken because I had an opportunity to release myself from the situation and you just took it away from me. So I'm going to walk after you and try to get the letter opener back.
All right. So as Siwoo is walking after Aton, am I correct in assuming that both Siwoo and Aton are able to hear?
Yeah. Correction. Shared experiences. No.
Oh, shared experiences.
That makes sense because like we would have been able to understand Korean and speak it. So
True.
Jesus. I was wondering the same thing though.
I guess Siwoo, would I notice you like walking after me is the question.
I think my grabbing at you would be pretty immediate. So
Okay.
I'm guessing you would see in your peripheral that I'm trying to get that back.
I will take my free hand, reach into the back of my waistband, and point the gun at Siwoo.
Immediately stop.
And I will say nothing. I will just give this look of I know what needs to be done. As he turns, you can see that he is crying silently. It's not even a like I am sobbing crying. It is that involuntary tears running down his cheeks as he holds the gun on Siwoo, the letter opener in his other hand, walking up to Arjun and stabs him. And the second that letter opener is buried, Aton just drops to his knees, and no one in the room can hear it, but just lets out a guttural scream of pain.
Arjun, you were focused on the door. You were focused on those 6 inches. And you're split between going back inside where it's safe or staying out here where it's present and basically standing guard and running defense for your friends who are hopefully going to help you because, as you said, we have to do something differently. And you feel the pressure in your neck for a moment as this blade cuts beneath the manacles with a metallic screech that none of you can hear. And I need you to roll me endure injury, Arjun.
It's fortitude -1. It's 2. That's gonna be an 18.
Jesus Christ. What am I saying? There's no Jesus here.
Arjun, you take narrative and you keep riding out because with an 18 on endure injury, you ride out the pain and keep going.
I think I feel the letter opener slide underneath the collar. I feel the scraping of the metal on the metal against, like, the vibrations against the skin. I feel the blade go through. I've never really been able, like, I've never been a vocal deaf person. Like, some speak while they sign. I don't do that, primarily because I just didn't have anybody to sign with for so long. So I got used to just doing it without. And I think as I feel it puncture out the other side, I think I feel the warm blood start to coat my chest, my shoulders, and run down my back. And so it starts to become this, as I am losing consciousness, I feel the warmth and I start to run to the warmth mentally. Like I'm embracing the warmth again, because that is pure and it's good. And it is the only good thing I have ever known in any form.
Aton, you recognize immediately what's happened. You did not kill Arjun. You did the one thing you didn't want to do in this particular situation, which was to drive him back inside.
And Aton seeing that he's failed at what he's tried to do, he's just gonna drop to the ground. His whole intention was deny this bastard his prize in Arjun. And he failed, and he is going to start to retreat into his own. He will leave the letter opener and just drop to the ground sobbing.
Your stability rolls back by 1. No roll.
Yeah.
Siwoo, you are the only present person in this room. And there's no reason why you know this. But you know that you're going to have company here in about 6 minutes.
I am going to pass by Aton, shove him to the side, and then go to Arjun and retrieve said letter opener.
Yeah.
I don't have much thought into how I'm doing this. I'm just getting it.
Okay.
And I'm getting it as quickly as I can. And I'm going back to trying to unlock myself.
Okay. This was your significant delay with a letter opener soaked with hot Arjun blood. You are able to pop that lock in the back and unfasten it and get this goddamn manacle off of your throat. It's so heavy.
Next, I will go to Arjun and try and get his off.
Okay. Arjun, what does this look like from us looking at Arjun?
Well, I feel like there is blood streaming out of both sides of his neck at this point.
Yeah.
Like it is gushing. So his skin is taking on kind of an ashen hue. Definitely a paler version of himself. Um, Ironically, this is one of those situations where the body goes cold because there's less
Mm.
blood in it, but he can out on the outside feel the warm blood. So it's a very confusing time for Arjun in this moment. Um, but I think he falls to his knees and he feels the boom, 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 as the blood exits the veins. Um, I think he would fall forward, but the collar would leave him like at a 45-degree angle towards the door. And I
Hey,
think the
Matt.
blood would just drip down the floor from there.
Sorry for that, Bucho.
You're good. No, you're good.
Hey, Matt, remember the last scene where you hit it a 10 through 14? And I said you'll be in trouble later on. I think this is a really
Yep.
great time
Yeah,
for
it's a
the
great time for
Avaris
that.
to arrive because they were upstairs having drinks. Siwoo had 6 minutes, and then you started wailing. Why are they crying already? Crying is for later. They don't usually cry before we get down there, and that door opens, and you see a man in a pristine suit with his tie loosened and his jacket open, and 2 others behind him that are standing with confused and curious eyes about this scene that's happening. Mr. Avari looks down at the blood pouring out of his prize, and that's where his attention is immediately. Aton and Siwoo, although you've never encountered these people before, this is a shared experience, so you know exactly who they are. This new kid, Joshua, he's young, you don't really recognize him, but this Mr. Wilkoff, he enjoys inflicting pain. And this is one of those moments when you know you've got one action to do something right now before he punishes the 3 of you or the 2 of you for whatever just happened to Arjun. Arjun, you are in the warm, loving embrace of someone that loves you. He is on the ground, he's on his knees, and he scoops you up, and he's like fiddling with your collar, and he's trying to figure out where this wound came from, and he's saying to you, you know, as the best that he can, he's speaking, but he's also using one hand to attempt to sign to you, but you're not really here. You're not really present. It does feel good to be loved, though.
Here's the thing. Because what I've experienced this evening is a gamut of emotions. And I have come to understand the nature of my transactional self.
Mm.
And so I know that this particular embrace is a false one. And so, though he picks me up and I'm no longer choking on my collar, and the blood is still coming, but I'm no longer choked by it. There's a moment, though Arjun's never seen this movie, there's a moment in Constantine where Keanu is going up to heaven and he just gives the middle finger to the devil. And so Arjun, as he is feeling his life force come out of him, knowing that this embrace is a false one, just no.
Mr. Avari looks offended. He looks hurt. He looks disappointed. Mr. Wilkoff is not amused. And you don't hear the snap, but you definitely feel it as he reaches over and breaks your middle finger in half. Aton and Siwoo, you've got one action to resolve this scene. Good luck.
I would like to, in my hand, I would still have a revolver containing 5 shots. I am going to shoot Mr. Avari.
please roll me engage in combat.
I have a +3 to that.
And then
That is
minus
a
any
20.
stability. Even minus any stability is probably still high as shit, right?
That is a 20.
15 plus, you inflict damage to your opponent and avoid counterattacks. Take narrative. What does this look like? Because remember, he's holding Arjun right now.
As he's holding Arjun, and there are tears streaming out of Aton's face. He may not be able to vocalize the words, but his face just reads 2 words. Never again. As he raises the revolver and aims for Mr. Avari's forehead. And just, with a determined look through tears, pulls the trigger.
There's a bang. Gun smoke powder fills the room. You look at Mr. Avari, and he has that same look of shock and disappointment as this red circle on his head begins to weep and he falls backwards. But you're still in this room.
I will almost like animalistically run over to Mr. Avari and will be taking my letter opener and shoving it through his heart as much as I can with as much force. Because he did this to me now. I'm not happy about this. And I'm going to then take the letter opener and draw my straight line down Mr. Avari and open him up and make sure that he is dead.
Siwoo clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
Holy shit. Babe, this is an engaging combat +4.
Okay.
+4, she's playing into the scenario.
15.
You want to take narrative?
Yes. So immediately I still feel some of the warmth from his body. But as I'm cutting through him, the blood starts gushing out and I know that he has finally died. And I will take his intestines and make sure that it's in a very nice Infinity 8 symbol and leave him there to rest and take the same letter opener and go to Arjun and unlock his chains.
I just have to ask because it was a fan favorite line from episode 1. Do you double check your work on Mr. Avari?
I always double check my work.
And are you pleased?
I'm incredibly pleased.
And Arjun, you're back in that spotlight. You can hear chains all around you, but the children aren't screaming anymore. You hear the sound of a single manacle drop somewhere behind you, and a voice screams in your head, "Who set you free?" And you should be going back to the one reality with the watershed, but due to time, I'm just going to immediately move you guys over to Aton's. Is that okay?
Yep.
Beautiful, especially because we had the late start and you guys are role-playing your asses off. Wow.
Yeah, it's a good one tonight. Have a good time.
Wow. Okay. All of your hearts beat in unison to the beat of music. Music, Arjun, that you can hear. And the sound around you is overwhelming. That's loud, blaring, doom, 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 doom. And it's interesting because your hearts catch that beat, that doom, doom, doom. And everything around you is bathed in this red, murky light. The air is thick. It's so thick that it feels like you're breathing Vaseline. And it tastes like body odor, cheap perfume, cigar smoke, vodka, and sex. There's a splat to your left. And the three of you look over and you can see a woman. She's completely nude and she's dancing in a dry aquarium of sort. She's just thrown her hand into the glass to kind of like catch her balance. She has her hips lifted off the ground. Her legs are spread and she is currently masturbating herself for somebody that's walking by on the other side of this glass aquarium. So I guess it faces two ways. And it's Jigna. And Aton, you look, and it shouldn't be Jigna, but it is Jigna. And she looks over her shoulder to you, and she is gasping in ecstasy. She fondles herself for a stranger, and she smiles. And she looks sad. And she says in perfect Belarusian, if you could change it all right now, would you? You have 30 minutes to try. Good luck. And Aton, a thought strikes you. Siwu knew what was going to happen. Arjun knew what was going to happen. You don't. You don't have a single idea on what is going to happen next. You think back, after crushing your mother's skull in with a cast iron skillet, you had been knocking on the doors of every establishment you knew that trafficked young girls looking for your sister. And you had been thrown out, knocked around, and bullied out of most of these institutions looking for Natalia. Jesus, Aton, she's 8. She's only 8. And they all said that they didn't have Natalia. However, you remember coming across one sympathetic sex worker. And maybe this brothel, you showed her a picture of Natalia, and she gave you this pained look. You have money to buy? You did. You do. You got that from the landlord's house before you left his body a mushy pulp on the floor. Fine. You stay, I get. Is that where you are now? Have you lost time? The 3 of you are kneeling onto a freezing cold floor. Your knees are being grasped by something sticky on the floor, and you prefer not to think about exactly what that is. Each of your wrists are zip tied behind your backs. There's an open freezer to your left, and it's lined with frozen corpses of young girls stacked neatly. There's a single metal door in front of you. There's a guard standing in front of it, a burly man who's carrying a semi-automatic rifle with like the green strap. And on the chair next to him, there's a magazine that you recognize, Aton. And then behind you are a pair of Regency double swinging doors. And even above the music, you can hear the beep, beep, beep of a truck backing up. The front door opens. A man in a cheap suit walks in, and he's holding Natalia's hand. Aton. Then he says to you, you must be Aton. We've heard her scream your name many, many times. And he pushes your sister at you. And Aton, whatever they've done to this girl, whatever they've done to your sister, she's never coming back. She looks you dead in the face and she doesn't recognize you. Your stability immediately drops by 2, no rule. And Aton, it's a sad, sad reality. You know that mileage at this age varies. And you know that you're all being prepared to be transported to the next sex club. Siwu, the guard at the door with the semi-automatic weapon, he won't stop licking his lips at you. Arjun, you know that look on his face all too well, and you know that he's on edge, and he's not gonna wait much longer. And Aton, you are on your knees eye to eye with your 8-year-old sister who doesn't recognize you. That's a hard silence. Color check.
We're green.
Okay.
Green.
Okay.
Just thinking at this point, because
Fucking bowled over right now. Like,
yeah,
holy shit.
you out Leslie'd on that one.
So we're fucking in it. We're in it.
We're here. Listen.
Yeah,
You go, we go. We agree.
We're riding this shit out.
We're going.
You go, we go. We agree. And if we decide not to go, we have tools.
I will try to, and understandably, they're going to keep me on my knees to keep us from doing things like this. Aton is going to try to stand up to just, even with his hands behind his back, just be with his sister.
Okay.
As best he can. He's going to even stumbling to just one knee to just put his face next to hers.
Aton, she's there, but she's not there. She doesn't recognize you. There's no recognition at all. She looks glossy-eyed. And as you stand up, you can see almost trained, she's debating about whether or not she should be falling to her knees as you're standing up.
I will whisper in her ear, I will always protect you. As a
Arjun,
single tear just runs down his cheek.
Arjun, you're on your knees, and you can see that guard. And it's not that he's not going to wait much longer. He's going to go for this now. And you can see him rotate the strap so that gun is across his back, and he starts taking off his belt.
Arjun has both seen and experienced a lot of things at a young age. But there's something. It's one thing when it's someone who's like his age, right? Like someone who can think and can make their own decisions. That's one level. But when it's someone who doesn't have that when it is innocence being violated in such a way, Arjun would definitely try to find a way to sacrifice himself. He'd put himself between himself. He would put himself between the aggressor and the aggressed every time. That would be his MO. So I think in this instance, are his legs bound?
No. It's just your ankles. Then you're on your knees.
Okay. I think he would try to make for some kind of movement to headbutt this guy. It wouldn't, like, he knows it's not going to stop the guy.
Yeah.
But if he can at least distract him long enough to maybe make him forget about his initial prey and become the new prey, that's what he would do. He's not brave. Don't get it twisted. He's not a brave person. But he can withstand the things that particular age cannot. And so he would take the brunt of it in that situation.
I need you to roll me an endure injury, please. You are bound. You are a malnourished young boy.
Okay. +2. 16.
Okay. You stagger to your feet, and you lock your neck in line with your shoulders, and you go after this guy. He has the belt off, and he's working on his zipper when you come at him, and it's...
My head is going directly for his fucking dick.
For the groin. You're going for the dick.
Without question, like, hands are one thing, but, like, you do that, and you take everything out, at least for a little bit. So, fuck that dick.
Things I want to put on the symphony quote board that I can't. Actually, we might be able to get away with fuck that dick. We might be able to get away. We'll pray about it. You barrel at him, and you're just at a massive disadvantage in this particular Arjun.
Yep.
In a very quick moment, he swings the butt of that rifle just to catch the back of your head, bringing you down as you go crashing onto the floor. This is an injury that could have fractured your skull. This is an injury that very possibly could have killed you if you had rolled a 9 or below. But as of right now, you ride out the pain and keep going as your head starts swimming with colors and scents and taste. It feels like you've almost gone through a rewiring as your eyes are blinking in and out of recognition, and this guy is walking in on Siwoo. Siwoo.
Behind me is the doors to the club area. Is that correct?
From what you can tell from the cold air coming in and that beep, beep, beep sound, it almost sounds like a truck, a semi-truck. Something is backing into that. So that might be some type of a landing dock or a port or something that they're getting ready to transport you to the next location.
Okay. As I turn to look behind me, are the doors open yet?
Yeah, so those doors are the Regency swinging door. So yeah, this is going to be nothing for you to knock through one of those.
I'm going to run for it.
Okay.
I'm gonna try and run out the door, or hobble out the door rather.
So you're onto your feet and you are hobbling out of the door. Can I get an act under pressure, please?
Yes. That's an 8. Serious consequences. GM makes a move.
You hobble to your feet and your left ankle gives way underneath you. You're just moving too fast. You've jumped from one trauma where you were enslaved, which is way not on your radar, to this, and you're just like, I need to leave. I need to leave. And when you quickly come up on your feet, your balance gives off, your left ankle gives. You can feel that sensation of pain shoot through, and before you're able to even crawl or fall back onto the ground, your throat is caught by this man who is pulling you back onto your feet. The pain goes through you again, and he says, I love when they run. And he pulls his hands through the back of your hair and starts licking the side of your face.
I'm going to shoulder check him.
Okay. You're going to go to hit him with your shoulder action. Love it. You are going to be rolling me a engage in combat, and then I'm going to drop down to Aton.
That's a 9.
Oh God,
Did not go as anticipated. GM makes a move.
Oh God. I like when they fight and you attempt to shoulder check him, and at this point he has you completely spun around. You've got a bad ankle. He's around your waist, and it looks like he is about to walk you in the opposite direction.
So as that's happening, how is that the only guard in the room?
Yeah, right now it's your sister, Jigna in a glass case, fondling herself, the guard with the semi-automatic, and then whoever this is in a cheap suit that made that comment about, like, we've heard her scream your name before. Yeah, we know.
I just checked something really quickly on Google to make sure it's actually possible. Aton,
oh God,
is going to attempt, given his proclivity for violence, attempt to break the zip ties. Because, if you recall, in the previous scene, in his hand was still a revolver, which would transfer because it is jumping realities.
So how do you plan on breaking these zip ties so I can tell you what to roll for?
He would probably have some experience with these, having gone through these various clubs, and especially with Belarus being such a poor country and his family getting by the way they did, he would attempt to put force on the locking mechanism. The weakest point of the zip tie. And I will even make it easy for him. He only wants to get the one hand free.
Oh.
That's all you need at that point. Like,
That's
once
all
you get
you
the one
need.
hand, both of them are done.
That's all you need. Babe, I think I want to see I act under pressure. And I'll give you a +1 for the Google check while streaming.
Act under pressure.
You got it.
I don't have it. That is 12.
You do it, but hesitate or delayed or must deal with a complication. The GM reveals an unexpected outcome, a high price,
that's
or a
actually a
difficult
14.
choice.
I forgot to add my coolness. That's a 14.
There you go. Much better.
It's
Oh,
still
it's
the
actually
same.
still-
It's still the same.
result. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
So
it's literally still the same.
It's still the same.
Well,
You do it,
it's
but
close.
hesitate or delayed or must deal with a complication. The GM reveals an unexpected outcome, high price, or difficult choice.
So as he manages to get his hand free, even though it will have a... In fact, if you'll allow me to take narrative, Bridget, I have a very high price to pay here.
So do I. I'm debating about who's going to take it. I almost
'Cause
want to
he's
hear both and then vote, but I'm going to
'Cause
trust you to ruin yourself.
He's going to wiggle his hand free with the gun, and seeing Si Woo struggling with the guard or the man with the rifle, his mind goes back to that magazine.
Yours
And
might be worse.
he knows that things are not going to get better anytime soon. He knows the only way out is to not. He's going to wriggle the gun hand free and put it to his sister's head.
Damn.
Yep, that was worse than what I was gonna do.
And the last words he says before he pulls the trigger in Belarusian is just, "Forgive me."
An 8-year-old girl crumples to the floor. Arjun,
And
Siwu.
right behind her, Aton hits the ground, just
I'm agreeing. I'm just reacting. Arjun, we're just tidying up this scene before I flip you guys back, because that is enough to break this. Aton, you go straight to broken, by the way.
oh yeah, no,
It's an
that's
elevator ride straight to hell.
we're checking all the boxes on the way down.
Yeah, just ding, 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 ding.
I don't hear the gun go off.
You
Or
could.
do I? Oh, I could actually, because
Shared
it actually
experience.
transfers. I do hear the gun go off. I think the sound would shock me into wakefulness. Like I wasn't asleep, but I think I would go, oh shit, and I would turn around and I would forget what I'm doing in that moment. Like it's my job to distract, and now there's another distraction. I think I would see the carnage. I think I would see the splatter. I would see the red everywhere.
It looks warm.
It does, but it's the wrong kind of warmth. And so I would, knowing that there's another distraction at play, try to become the next distraction again. And I would, if I can't stand up, I'm still going to try to butt my head into this guy's crotch area. I'm going to try and cause as much damage as I possibly can.
I'll give you
As
that
long
without
as
a
I can.
rule or without a roll at this point, because a gunshot has gone off. This guard and the club owner are just like, how the fuck did this kid get a gun in here? That makes zero sense whatsoever. So they're both
Yep.
turning. The club owner is sprayed with blood. He looks more annoyed than he does look horrified. The guard looks more curious and irate than he does Jesus. I can't even read that comment out loud. Mr. Opinion.
We both looked at it.
I'm never getting back into the character. Jesus.
Yep.
Woo!
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. I have no idea where I was. I see, that's why I shouldn't follow chat. But you're able to headbutt this guy, which just instinctively buckles one of his knees as he goes down, and he's gonna wind up dropping Siwu. And Siwu, I'm gonna kick it over to you.
As he drops to his knees, I'm going to take an elbow that is behind my back, and just like punch it as hard as I can into his crotch.
He has taken a headbutt and an elbow to a fully engorged erection right now. He is not doing very well, and he screams in pain as he drops to his other knee and topples backwards, clutching at itself. And Aton, there's a lot happening around you. None of that really matters. You made a hard choice. You don't even know if it was the right choice. Could she have been saved? Maybe not. But you made a choice to set her free. You've been doing a lot of that this particular evening. And you're looking at the blood pooling out of your sister's head. And you can't help but to just look up at the aquarium. And there are two hands on the outside or the inside. And Jigna's looking at you. And she is wailing in pain, looking at you, watching you suffer. And for time's sake, go ahead.
So I want to look up at her as she's screaming in pain. I'll place one hand in the blood and I will hold it up and just say, I saved her.
Matt, I hate to deprive you of your Dark Angel clerical scene. I will read it to you in the talkback that we're going to do.
Okay.
But just for time, because I'm probably going to run until maybe another 10, 15 minutes, and I want to be respectful of everybody's time, I will read that during the talkback. This was donated by backer Adam A. Adam, I'm so sorry. We had streaming issues on the front end. I will read it in the talkback, which you will have access to, of course. The three of you reemerge back at the Meadows. You're in your group therapy sunroom. It's lunch or near it, as you can tell by the way the sun hangs in the sky. The mountains stand silent behind you, and it's just you three in those really uncomfortable chairs, and Jigna. And she looks at the three of you, and she says, I apologize for the pain that I have caused you. I apologize for the pain that the world has inflicted upon you. But I have shown you, each of you, how powerful you truly are. And this is just a glimpse. You three are so much more powerful than you could possibly imagine. And I can show you. But in order to show you, I will have to break you. And when she says this, she's looking at Arjun and Siwu specifically because Aton is already out the back door. If you submit and you allow me to break you, you will emerge enlightened. And you don't have much time, and I can't maintain this for very long, but I need each of you two to choose. You can stay here in the Meadows. Yes, it's a lie, but it's my lie. And it's a lie that I'm willing to maintain for you. I can keep you safer here than your current reality, but that doesn't stop your current reality from happening. You will continue to die. You will continue to suffer. You will continue to die. You will continue to suffer. But at least here, you can go horseback riding, or you can go fishing, or you can go kayaking, or we can keep doing group therapy here. I will continue to support you the best I can. But if you allow me to break you, together we can free others. I just need you to choose.
Arjun wouldn't know this reference, but Bucha would be like, well, if death is my rock, then I will be your fucking Sisyphus. Knowing full well, like every time, every iteration, he was doing something good for somebody else. Yeah.
Arjun, you say those words and you're back in the Avari basement. You're back chained to the wall. You're back in your silk two-piece pajamas. Emily is there. And she's crying because she knows it's soon going to be time. And you know in about 30 minutes, Mr. Avari, Joshua, and Mr. Wilkoff are going to be coming downstairs. You feel betrayed. You feel lied to. And then Emily signs something to you, Arjun. You don't have to take much more of this. You can make a different choice. Siwu.
I asked Jigna, will I have power?
Beyond even my own imagining.
Then yes. Yes, do it.
You're back on stage. And a man with a shadowy curtain face is coming towards you, but in a single flash, you recognize it is that heartbroken mother. And you know In this moment, you have a choice. Things are slightly different this time. Your father is holding your hand, and he sees her too. And there's a predation that goes across his face as he looks down to you and looks at her. Aton, you have already successfully broken yourself, as a matter of fact. You are on your knees, back in that holding chamber. You can hear the beep, beep, beep of a vehicle backing up behind those Regency doors. Your friends aren't there this time, or could you even consider them friends? Who's there with you is your sister. And she's on her knees, zip-tied next to you. And she's got glossy eyes, but when you look into her eyes, she recognizes you. Aton, she sees you. And she says, thank you for coming to me. Thank you for trying. You can hear the pop as that zip tie boundary breaks behind your wrist. Doing a circular table. Arjun, what's different?
Emily's real. She's there. She is warm. She is an embrace in the dark that keeps us both warm when things are at their coldest.
And do you make a different choice when Avari, Joshua, and Mr. Wilkoff come in? Do you readorn the manacle, or do you fight?
I think Arjun fights, but I think he finds a different way to do it. And if this is a thing that happens every time, he will try a different tactic every time.
And you do. And you try. And you will eventually break. Siwoo, what's different? What's different when you're on stage?
I see the woman now clearly who this person is, and I can see where she's going to shoot. Knowing that this is what the woman needs, but also it's what I need to gain my power back, I'm going to step in front of the path in which she intends to shoot.
So you don't flee. And you don't fight back. You just take it head on.
Yes.
And you die. Again. And again. And again. Until you break. Aton, the zip tie is just snapped. Natalia sees you. What's different?
The difference is the zip tie that snapped was hers. And as the truck backs up, Aton will dutifully stand and walk into the truck and turn to the man with the gun and just say, you promise she'll be safe. As he walks onto the truck, he sees Natalia walk out of the club.
And that, friends, is a symphony. Is where our show ends for tonight. Thank you so much to everyone who joined in and or is currently watching the replay. You're indeed the best part of waking up. We sincerely appreciate you. The cast and crew are going to go take a brief break, and then we're going to come back for our post-symphony gala. We're going to get the cast and crew's impression on the episode, answer some of those lingering questions. Who was Jigna? Why was she trying to set them free? How does that benefit her? Maybe you'll get to see some of our pets.
How the fuck are we doing?
How the fuck are we doing? What does breaking mean? That talkback is exclusive content that is only available on the Patreon for Symphony backers. So please back us on patreon.com/Symphony Entertainment. If you'd like to hang out with us on Discord, you can go to symphonyentertainment.com and get the link, or I'm sure somewhere a bot is running in the background. But before we empty out the auditorium, One, thank you guys for sticking with us after the false start. Freaking Streamlabs was like, you're not streaming today. So before we empty out the auditorium, let's go around one more time and say goodnight to our symphonic cast. Starting with Bucho, tell us who you are, where to find you, and what you do.
Hey, everybody. I am Ruined for Life, and you can find my writing, updates on my art that I create, and any literary news or just the shit that I do on the weekends on my Instagram at the Real Pink Panther. That's where you can find me. I got nothing beyond that. I'm tapped out.
I'm so done too.
Jesus.
Matt. Matt's like, I don't want to play anymore. Matt, you want to tell us who you are, where people can find you, the things you do?
Yeah. I'm Matt, also known as Doc. Never been happier to be an only child more than today. I'm usually around the Discords. I've started to blow up the comfort food channel. Back on my meal prep games. I'm really glad I have a happy lunch for tomorrow. Gonna need it. And as the bot was saying, I wrote my first Call of Cthulhu scenario, published it back in November. Please check it out. If you're going to Chaosium Con, I'm running it there, so go check that out as well. And yeah, that's about all I got. I'm gonna go pour myself a stiff drink for the talkback.
Oh God. And last but not least,
I am Leslie, or XP Lovecat, and I love helping people with their creative projects. So if you're working on any tabletop RPG stuff, scenarios, role books, fiction work, hit me up, and I'd be happy to help with some editing.
guys, we hope you've enjoyed the symphony, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Have an absolutely wonderful night.